You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Uday, and welcome to another Oxbridge-AIx Masterclass. This time, we're joined by Youssef. Youssef recently had an exit and is an expert on hackathons. So he's going to be sharing how his journey, especially with hackathons for founders, has been really powerful and useful on his career and his attempt to make or solve problems for different things and create startups. And with that, Youssef, here you are.
All right. Thank you, Uday. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this masterclass about getting the most out of hackathons as a company founder. I met Uday a few weeks ago, and when I was in London to visit a friend, and I talked about sort of my current project and past project, and said that they all stemmed from hackathons because I think it's a great environment to for a company founder or just someone that is interested in building stuff to bootstrap an ID. And so he offered me to come here and present it to you. And so I hope you get some value out of it. To start, my name is Youssef, and I think like many of you, I'm passionate about ideas, innovation, and early stage ventures, which has led me to discover the idea of hackathons, which have now been a big hobby of mine and an important part of my life, given that I'm working on companies and projects that started from hackathons. A bit about myself: I'm a software engineer that started in quant hedge funds and then transitioned into building my own consulting practice, still in finance, and also in finance and decentralized finance, DeFi, and then transitioned more into building my own products. And hackathons have been an integral part of this journey. I was able to see sort of all the stages from ideation to building a product, trying to get it to people, getting feedback from people, reiterating over the product, and then even sort of like selling part of it to other people, and then working on other things. And today, the thing that has remained constant is me going to hackathons. My goal today will be to show you why hackathons, and especially winning sponsor prizes and winning sponsor prizes can be useful for you as founders. All right. Oh, sorry, my mouse died. Oh, it's kind of weird. Can you guys still hear me? Just to check.
Yes.
Okay, because
Yes.
my Bluetooth died, and so I lost my AirPod. Yeah, okay. Let me just reconnect quickly.
All good. It happens to the best of us.
Right. Yeah, so okay, I'm back. And so yeah, and as founders, we sort of obsess over market validation. At least that's my case, which means testing your ideas against real users to find PMF, product market fit, fast prototyping, and quick iteration. Technical hackathons, by technical I mean one where you have to deliver a working demo that will be judged by technical people, industry experts. Technical hackathons compress all of those three things into a weekend. You get to build a working demo, you get immediate feedback from sponsors, judges, mentors, and other hackers. And you can also get prize money, which in itself is a signal that something might be worth pursuing. Hackathons are kind of like a very compressed founder journey. We will walk through the three phases of a hackathon: the before, during, and after, and how to extract the most value out of each. The before one has to do with finding the right event, figuring out your team, or if you will go solo, and having a few ideas that excite you. The during will be all about something called the demo-driven development, how to achieve your best demo and how to manage your time during the event. And lastly, the after part will be about continuing the momentum that you built at the hackathon. Let's start by understanding the foundation that you need in order to lock in as best as possible during this hackathon. first of all, you'll want to pick a hackathon in the industry that you're targeting, of course. You're going to have a lot, especially in AI and crypto, but pretty much everything now, but mostly in AI and crypto. You want one with a strong sponsor pool and judges that are relevant to the product you want to prototype, relevant to the ideas that you have. And it will also be you also want the kind of hackathon where you could meet your potential co-founders. I have personally gone to a lot of ETHGlobal hackathons because my projects have always more or less revolved around identity and decentralized finance, two subjects that are important in that ecosystem. I'm even wearing their shirts now. And as an example for hackathon where you can find your co-founders, one of them served as a way for me to test a co-founder relationship and prototype an idea I had. And this person is now my co-founder. And that happened twice. Yeah. Right. Sorry again, I don't know why my things are getting stuck. Oh.
Can you try if your keyboard helps?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. My keyboard keeps deactivating. It never does that.
So Mohammed, we'll be sharing a recording where you get access to this at the Oxbridge-AIx community platform. Hope that helps.
Right. All right. Yeah, okay. It's back again. It's kind of weird. Yes. Okay.
So Gian, we will be, if you're part of the community, you have access, or you'll be given instructions on how to access the Oxbridge-AIx platform. It's a platform which is kind of like a social network, like your very own Facebook, where you have access to not only masterclasses, but a whole bunch of other resources, and you can connect with each other as well.
Let me just restart my presentation.
Sure, you do that.
I think
I'm just going to tell people a bit more about the community platform in the meantime. So far, all the 25 masterclasses that we had done previously are on the community platform, and we're uploading this year's one and the next week or so as well. Hope that helps, Gian.
Right. I will just open quickly that link on the browser because I think my Microsoft Teams is having a problem.
Cool, all good. I will try and entertain people in the meantime. Any questions, guys, while we wait for Youssef to come back? How's everyone good? Everyone have a good weekend? I always forget to mention this, but when you do ask questions, please also introduce yourself and what you're doing, because in Oxbridge-AIx, we are very focused on building a culture of trust, along with support and collaboration, and you can't really build trust without people knowing each other. Shizin, how can I help?
Hey Uday, thank you for arranging the event actually. Very nice to see you here again. No, you're asking about questions, right? So I guess I'll probably just drop one. Because me myself, I was also just doing hackathons, but I just feel like, when I'm just getting my own startup, hackathons become less relevant in a way that, I mean, unless we otherwise come with like a sort of unfair advantage, right? Or otherwise, like just doing small sprints with just like different ideas seems to not be something that could help us to help the startup go in the long term. So I'm quite curious at the speaker Youssef, when he's just working on different hackathons, what is the ultimate motivation? And then as startup founders, like what's the point of say just like going to different hackathons, I guess specifically, because I still get it as maybe, we could do some smaller sprints, or otherwise we could also, um, for example, meet with like some new people, but I'm just quite curious at his like main motivation.
Cool. Well, Youssef, we had a question which I'm just going to share now, but we can come back to it because I have a feeling you're just about to answer it. But
yeah, I think it's a great question. Personally, the reason why I like hackathon, and yeah, I'm going to come back to the presentation, but the reason why I like hackathons even while working on startups is because I need to I have a pretty big need for exploration. So, it's a concept I like to take from reinforcement learning, where when you're trying to make an AI learn by itself, you have the problem of exploration versus exploitation. And so in the beginning, you want the AI to explore and discover things about the rules of the game, etc. And then the more it knows, the less it explores and the more it exploits the things it knows. For me, I have I have a desire for exploration. I really love it. It's why I like early stage ventures and things like that, the ideation process, all of that. And I find myself lacking that when I'm committing more and more on a project. And hackathons are kind of like my creative outlet. So I don't necessarily go to a hackathon because I want to do mini sprints on my current projects. It's because I want to start I want to prototype a different idea, maybe related to what I'm doing now, or something completely different. Usually it's sort of related to something I'm working on, the main thing I'm working on. But yeah, for me, it's more a creative outlet. Uh, when I am not working on something, it's more important for me to go out to hackathons because I prototype and do market validation. But even when I am like currently working 100% on one project, I still give myself some, creative outlet by going to hackathons. They serve a purpose for me. But if you're the kind of person that has no problem locking in and executing and exploiting what you know all the time, then you have less of a reason to go to a hackathon once you're working on something. You still have one if you're not working on something, just because you get to prototype, you get to market validate with the industry experts and other hackers. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Nice. Thank you so much, Youssef. Thank you so much for this. And actually, just as I realized, per Uday's request, I'm gonna also do a brief intro of myself. So my name's Shisan. I'm a fourth-year engineering student at Keble College in Oxford. Also building my own startup, working on AI personal COOs. I've been into different hackathons previously, also ones that are organized by Oxbridge-AI. I'm quite looking forward to actually getting to know more of the presentation and actually stay connected as well. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, thank you. That was awesome. I can't wait to go to one Oxbridge-AI hackathon. I think I can continue, and then I would love to continue Q&A after. Can you just, Uday, tell me if you see the transition on my screen? Like if I go...
At the moment, it's on Pick the Right Hackathon page.
Okay. All right. And yes. Right.
We had this problem last week as well. Maybe it's the universe telling us to stop using Teams. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's changing, but it's not changing when I'm doing it. It's a bit weird. It's okay. I'm just going to do something else. I'm going to try something else.
Sure.
And this should work.
Cool. Thanks, Youssef.
Presentation. Okay. Just there. All right. Is this now on team composition strategy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you everyone for bearing with me. I work in software, but I struggle sometimes with hardware. Um, so basically, I was basically saying that we're gonna go through the before, during, and after, and the first thing you want is to pick the right hackathon. I was explaining lastly that it's been my main way of finding co-founders. I think hackathons work well for that because you have sort of a selection bias that happens in your favor because you're already with people that um, are selecting themselves as people that want to work under pressure in the hackathon. So yeah, in terms of the team you're going with, I'm a big proponent of either going with people you know or hacking solo. You could find teammates there, but it's usually much better to work with people you've already worked with, simply because it's easier to align ideas and structure the work. Nothing stops you from teaming up with someone you met at the previous hackathon. The important part is that you've worked with them or seen their work. I think the exception for forming a team directly at the event is if you're not going with a sort of founder or builder mindset, but rather are going to the hackathon to learn a new skill like programming or get into the industry. Maybe you saw a sponsor and you want to join their company and something like that. In these cases, then I think it would work in your favor to join a team directly there. But yeah, don't expect your project necessarily to win because teams that already know each other or people that are just locking in solo have an advantage over you when it comes to having something that demos and pitches well in front of judges. Um, I believe this is, by the way, valuable advice for founders in general, not just for hackathons. If you want to test a potential co-founder relationship, I think you should build something related to that idea with them in or outside of a hackathon, because it could save you from a lot of headache down the line when building your company. Um, because you get to see how they work, you get to see if it fits. Basically, if you're vibing well with that person, you might as well do that before on like a smaller stake projects, just like a weekend project with them, and it will tell you a lot about them, and and it will be useful for the future. About the sponsor price strategy that you want to go with, at this point you should have already done some sponsor reconnaissance of in the hackathon before choosing it. But you want to check what kind of project they want you to build with what technologies. Is it compatible with the prototype that you had in mind? Does it require you to focus all of your energy on it? Generally, I believe it's better to come up with your own ideas and a few prototypes in mind that you think are great that you can build in a weekend, and only then add the sponsor prices at the end, because a sponsor judge will almost always prefer a great project that integrates their technology just a little bit over a generic project like, let's say, a to-do app or a social network that focused on integrating all of their features. These judges most likely saw all the generic projects you can come up with. Anything more original already has a massive advantage, at least to me when people are pitching their ideas. It could sound obvious to you, but I see so many hackers brute forcing sponsor prices with generic projects while expecting to win. You can also go the way of choosing one sponsor and building for them, specifically if you don't have a project in mind. Because some sponsors will have prices for building very specific, and that might not give you the time to work on something else. But that has not been my experience because I've always used hackathon as a way to prototype ideas. But if you choose this path, look for my recommendation would be to look for undersubscribed sponsors where you'll have fewer competitors, just like a real business. You don't want to go into a market that is already saturated, that has a lot of competitors, unless you have a massive unfair advantage or a product that's 10x in quality or 10x cheaper. And so it would be the same for a hackathon. About choosing the right project. So as I said before, I usually go with a few ideas in mind without knowing which one I'll focus on. I use the first few hours of the hackathon to to sort of just check the vibe of everyone, talk to people, see my friends, maybe form teams with them, talk to sponsor judges and a bunch of hackers. And once I kind of am settled on one idea, I do a quick feasibility checks. I think it's important. A lot of hackathon projects fail in the let's say mid time at the hackathon because there is something fundamental that doesn't work like in what they thought was feasible. For instance, a feasibility check in the past for me has looked like I've worked on a project where we wanted to generate a project called Proof of Passport, where we wanted to generate zero knowledge proofs of passports of governmental signature for the people that are interested in cryptography. And it was like a pretty big project, maybe not the kind of thing you want to select for a hackathon. And so we spent the first few hours just doing feasibility checks. Like, can we actually extract a government signature from the passport? If yes, can we then verify the signature ourselves, or is it some weird format that no one uses except the government? And so once we've done that, then we could like fully lock in on doing a great demo. In a different hackathon, another feasibility check was in a project where we wanted to do recovering private keys, so cryptocurrency private keys or your Proton Mail private keys, something like that. And so before that, we made sure that we knew how private keys are constructed and, more importantly, how they can be reconstructed in the first place. And so, those quick feasibility checks, you want to do them before, even if it feels like you're wasting time when other people are starting the hackathon, it's fine. For me, this is still the before part of the hackathon. It doesn't matter if the timer has started. I'll finish the before part by giving some practical advice on how to choose a project. I think it has to basically have there are at least three important criteria. The first one is a strong demo, something you can show working in front of judges, ideally in a way that makes it obvious that it works. So, something that you wouldn't be able to fake, something that's kind of impressive. For example, if I use the same passport example, we use the real passport with the real phone, connecting the two of them. It's impossible for someone to think that it doesn't work. And it's impressive for a technical judge because they know that it's actually working. Or in the case of recovering the private keys, we literally ask them to give us a private key, not a real one with money on it, but to give us a private key, and then we reconstruct the private key in front of them. It's impossible for us for the thing to not work and to be just a fake demo. So a strong demo is great. And then the second point is something related to the first one. It's something immediately useful after building it. So meaning that the judges could use your demo themselves if they wanted. That means avoiding projects where you'd have to say, so this is our product, imagine this or that about it in order for it to be great. If you have to say imagine something, it's not going to be impressive to the judges. So anything, for example, requiring a network effect to be useful, like a social network, is not going to be impressive because it's not interesting to show a basic demo and say it would work great if 100,000 or 1,000,000 people signed up in the next few months. It's much more impressive if it's useful with just one user. It's similar to what Y Combinator calls tar pit IDs, and I suggest avoiding them. So it's an idea that would be like an idea where the market validation looks sort of you're able to validate the market because people give you positive feedback on it, but then when you have a prototype, you have an MVP, the same people don't use it. So it would be something like a social network or a marketplace. I see a lot of people going to hackathons and going to DeFi hackathons, for example, and trying to do Uber but decentralized, or a decentralized Airbnb, and that's not gonna win because it was never difficult to do the front end of Uber or Airbnb. What's difficult is getting a bunch of people to use it. And so avoid those ideas unless you're able during the time of the hackathon to get a bunch of people to use it. But that's something different. Lastly, I think it would be great if you had something that's easily pitchable, an idea that you can explain in one sentence. You should feel free to do early research by pitching to sponsors, mentors, at the hackathon, and other hackers, judges, before you commit to your ID. Take the time to do that. It will really save a lot of time later when choosing your project. I wanted to leave you with a sort of like algo. I can like share the slides later. I'm not gonna go through it, but just an algo of a recap of what I said about you know, the path you want to follow in the hackathon for the before part. And then once you have your ID, you can enter the during part, where you've decided what to build, even if the official timer has already started. If you haven't decided yet what your project is, I think you're still in the before, and you should do the steps properly, even if you're feeling behind in the hackathon. This moment of the hackathon, the during part, is what I call the demo-driven development. At this moment, you have an idea for your prototype, and you should only have one focus for now until the end of the hackathon. And this one focus is, what are you going to show to the judges? Figure that out and remove everything else. Your only job for the rest of the hackathon is to get that demo working. Anything that the judges won't see should not be built. You can consider your demo to be your North Star. It's your only guide. It's the only thing you go back to when you're drifting away from your core functionality when building in the hackathon. If you have a bug, every time you should ask yourself, is this part of the demo? Should I spend more time on it or not? Because your biggest enemy will be time during this hackathon. And in order to do that, you will have to scope, which is also a very useful skill for a founder. If you can do it well for a hackathon, I'm pretty sure you can generalize it in your founder journey. So I would argue that even that this part, going from ID to scoping the demo, is the most important part for winning, more than actually building the demo, because this is where you determine what you'll show and how much work it will take. Pick the smallest thing that demos well, and call it your MVD, your minimum viable demo. Scope your project to be finished by half or 3/4 of the hackathon to account for bugs that will inevitably show up, and to have ample time to prepare your pitch, because it would really be a shame if you did everything correctly and then couldn't be able to present it well. So be willing to also like prioritize ruthlessly, cut really anything that's not in your MVD. How do you actually scope? The way I do it is I simply just start with the pitch and then backfill until I have my main tasks. To construct your pitch, just imagine the demo, write down the narrative. Again, just like you would do in an actual company in the beginning, write down the narrative, important screens, and user interactions that you want the judges to see. Even make it in slides before implementing it. Use all the tools, Figma, whatever, AI tools that make the graphic design. I'm going to have like a list of tools you can use after this. And from that reference demo, figure out the core functionality. This means the minimum amount of code, whether it's backend logic or front-end components, to make your demo functional. Feel free to even fake non-core data and logic. What's important is that your main functionality works. What's around doesn't matter at all. It's totally okay to hard code data. Just don't fake the main thing, because if that gets you a win, many judges do look at the code after the hackathon and they can totally rescind your win. So just focus on the main functionality, but it's fine to do very sloppily all the rest. For instance, in the case of the project where we wanted to do the recovery of private keys, the core functionality was real, but the backend wasn't secure at all. Like we could see the private key and all of that. It wouldn't make sense in a product, so no one would use it. But that wasn't the point of the demo. The point was showing that we could recover private keys. Same for the passport project, where we were using a server to generate the proof instead of directly generating on the phone, which is what the industry does. Because the core functionality was proof generation, and using a server was much easier to prove that to show that core functionality. Of course, these things got changed after the hackathon when they became real products. But for the hackathon, what matters is the MVD, the minimum viable demo. At the end, you can try to integrate one or two sponsors in your project, but remember that they're not essential. Your demo is essential. It's really the only thing that matters. It's even better if when you're doing your sponsor reconnaissance, that one of the sponsors integrates very well with URD. With URD, but don't compromise the idea for the sponsor. So same for, I'm also going to leave you with this sort of algorithm that you can follow during the hackathon, really about defining the pitch. Then from that, you do your MVD, which is the pitch plus the core functionality. And then you work, you do everything. And by the end, or, by 50%, not the end, but between 50 and 75% of the hackathon, you'll want to do a check where you ask yourself, can I demo right now? And I'm seeing that you wanted to say something, Uday? Okay. Yeah, you were muted in case you wanted to say something.
I've been requested to ask you to check your WhatsApp message about something urgent.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I need to open the door for someone. Is it fine if you give me 5 minutes or like 2 minutes, more likely?
Sure, yeah.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
guys, it's quite urgent. Cool. This is quite interesting. I do think, one other thing about hackathons, because I have also been a judge on some hackathons now. One thing that people try and do at hackathons, they try and use a startup idea that they have that they've been working on and try and configure that to any hackathon. That often just doesn't really work. People might get impressed with the amount of work you've done, but often people are trying to also test and see how much you've achieved within the time frame, and this becomes quite a stickler for the judges, in case that's useful. So often, if you are building something, it could be fun to try and build a particular feature that might be relevant to that hackathon instead of trying to build the whole thing and trying to sell the whole thing. It just depends. Sometimes it's worth taking a chance. How's everyone finding the masterclass so far?
I'm back, by the way. Nothing horrible, by the way. Just I forgot to. I will lock the door, and someone couldn't enter. And the UK, the UK. I mean, I don't know. I'm discovering it, but the UK weather. So that person couldn't stay outside. So sorry about that. And I am back. And yeah. So yeah, basically this algorithm, I was saying by 50%, up to really 75%, if you were stuck on problems, you should have a check where you're asking yourself, can I demo this right now? And then you take a decision, an executive decision, just like you would in your company. You're asking yourself, if the answer is no, then you should, if the answer is no, you should probably cut out features and just start finishing the demo. And if it's yes, then you're fine. But if it's no, you should do that unless you're making the bet that, or for sure that the features you're working on are too important, they're too core to the demo. And then, you can keep working on them, but be careful because you really want to leave like some time for preparing your pitch. Because again, it would be very bad if you did everything well and then you can't present it well. So yeah, a few useful tools. So I'm sure you know all of these tools. I personally I've actually only recently started using anti-gravity. It's great for building. Before building, you want to visualize things, do slides, brainstorm with your team if you have a team, and for that I think Stitch is great. I made a typo here, but it's called Stitch by Google or with Google, something like that. It's an AI thing. You prompt it and you have a nice graphic design that you can export to Figma or directly get the code to. And, things like that, Figma, all of that. For building, use all the tools you can. Don't force yourself to use a tool you haven't used before. Like really for the demo, again, as a founder, for the demo, you're only focusing on the demo. So, use tools that you're comfortable with. Unless again you're going for the hackathon specifically to learn, but that would be a different strategy. But if not, then don't bother with like new tools. use what you know, and use everything that's in your advantage. AI is great. Every hackathon will encourage you, especially in AI, will encourage you to use all the AI tools you can. Is great. By this point, when you're entering the after, I guess that I hope that you've won some money, and more importantly, if you're a founder, that you have an early product that you can keep working on. And if you do, make the best of the post hackathon by following up with sponsors and people in general. Those relationships are worth much more than the prize money. You can get grants from them or partnerships. That's what happened with our proof of passport project. One of the sponsors was the Ethereum Foundation, and they gave us grants to continue that research. You could be selected to present your project at future hackathons or events. That's what happened with our Backup Buddy project. We were able to present it in New York and in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And you could also receive VC attention. That's what happened with most of my hackathon projects. And also you'll want to keep in touch with other hackers, form teams for the next one, find co-founders from, like I said in the beginning, from a pool of people that have already proven they can ship under pressure, that are in your industry, and are probably also looking to make products and companies. Most importantly, don't forget to have fun. I have really made friends for life. I found co-founders and now work on projects that I started there. As a founder, I will keep feeling I kind of related to the question that we had in the beginning. As a founder, I will keep feeding my desire for exploration by going to hackathon, testing ideas, meeting people, and hopefully keep working on products I love. And I hope that hackathons can be very useful to you too. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And I have in this slide a few hackathons that I think are going to be interesting. I'm not putting the ones from Oxbridge, but the other ones in crypto, AI, and general hackathons that I think are going to be nice. You will find me at probably all the ETHGlobal ones. So yeah, don't hesitate to send me a message if you want to do something.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Youssef. That was really fun and very educational. With that, guys, please don't forget to introduce yourself as you ask questions. Any questions? So I am going to get us started, right? Perhaps you can share, is there anything, Youssef, you can share from your past in a real example?
Yeah, for in hackathons? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch. The one that is sort of the biggest example I have of a hackathon where all of that happened and ended up becoming a company at the end is the proof of passport one. It was really about I went there with a friend that we already worked together before. We knew how to work together, and we're all both interested in the same things. And we both had the mindset of we don't care about the sponsor prices. We just want to make cool products that people like. And if we can get money out of it by integrating sponsors at the end, then awesome. But just making a cool product is enough of a win. So we go to the hackathon. It was in Paris. And we go for the most ambitious idea we had in mind, and we had less ambitious ideas in mind in case, but we go for the most ambitious one, which is that we take a passport, we try to connect to the chip inside. If you don't know, in every biometric passport, there is an NFC chip with all of your information, the JPEG of your picture, your name, all of that, and then you have a signature of the government validating that this is a real passport. And that's what the machines are verifying at the airports. They're checking the pictures and the MRZ, the machine readable code at the end, and then they use the NFC chip to they use that code below to unlock the chip, and they're verifying signature. And so we're like, it's probably not possible to do it because it's governmental stuff, right? You probably need a password to do it or something. You probably need authorization, but we try it, and then we discovered that no, there is a massive PDF explaining how passport works. It's an open spec, open specification. Anyone can create their own passport. If you do it's a fun thing to do, but it's not going to work at the airport. And so we realized that it is theoretically possible to get the signature. So we start looking, like, in the first few hours, we start looking at the apps, like Android apps for that we can fork that have like using the NFC reader to get the signatures. We realized that we can, and then we spent a few more hours trying to verify the signature, which was supposed to be an easy thing. It wasn't an easy thing. We were about to give up and just go in a less ambitious ID, even though the hackathon started. But then in a last attempt, we sort of give all the information we have to ChatGPT, and that was like 2 years ago, ChatGPT, 2.5 years ago. And we give it all the information and the relevant part of the PDF explaining how to communicate with an NFC. And then it kind of just gives us a script that ends up working for verifying the signature. And we're like, great. In the middle of like the hackathon, we're like kind of like very happy. And once that was verified, we just spent, we did demo-driven development. We did everything to have that demo. And at the end, the demo was really just passport in one hand, phone on the other hand, slapping the passport on the phone to really, the first point I said, have a strong demo, like something that is obvious that it works, and then generating the proof. And it ended up being the hackathon where we won the most amount of prizes. So that was cool. In another hackathon where we won, where I went solo because none of my friends actually went to the hackathon, and I know from experience it's much better to either go solo or go with people at least a little bit, like just not people you meet directly there for the first time, unless you have a very good vibe immediately, and really align with the projects and stuff. And in that hackathon, it was a hardware project where the idea was to open doors using a phone. And same feasibility check, like kind of verifying that I understand how electricity works, because it was like an actual hardware project, and sort of integrating very well. It was an example of hackathon where it was integrating super well with one sponsor, and demo-driven development. At the end, the thing works. I make sure that it's kind of impressive in the demo. Like I click on a button, I sign like cryptographic signatures, and it opens the door. That was also very cool. This did not end up being a company, but it was a very fun project. It's part of the things that I just wanted to prototype and see if there was something. But then, after doing more market validation, I figured out that it's too competitive. Already a lot of locks exist. You've seen them on like when you go to Airbnbs and stuff like that. And in a different hackathon that ended up, again, to come back to the proof of passport one, this one ended up getting grants from the FM Foundation. It ended up becoming an actual company. And that company still exists today. It's called Self.xyz, and it's great. And today, Self also sponsors the same hackathons where we started. So that's an awesome thing. The current project I'm working on also started from. It's an evolution of it's an evolution of the of proof of passport, but on the product side, not just the ZK research side. And it's called Backup Buddy. It was also created at a hackathon where we entered the hackathon, verified that we wanted to basically just make sure you could recover your private keys. You probably have a bunch of private keys, on your phone, and it's pretty easy to lose them. And more and more people use digital money, cryptocurrency and other forms, more and more people are using their phone as sort of a bank, but without the security of the bank. It's very simple to, get into your phone. It's very simple to lose your passkeys, to lose your passwords and all of that. And so we built something where you input those secrets in a fully secured way. And if you lose them one day, you can always use zero knowledge proofs to get them back. You don't need to actually store anything anywhere. You don't need to have like a key somewhere in your pocket, whatever. You can just recover them. And so we did the MVD of that, like a minimum viable demo at this hackathon. And it uses Self's technology. And it was the same. It was like strong demo. At the end, we asked the judges to input their own secrets so they know we can't fake it. Then we sort of use a different computer to regenerate their private key. So it's kind of on the moment very impressive to them. And yeah, it's a formula that I think works pretty well to at least test ideas, prototype, and also have fun.
That's the first time I've heard anyone use the term demo-driven development, so 3Ds or DQ. So I'm going to say you coined it here. That's really cool. The other thing, based on what you said, actually.
I haven't found just about this. I haven't found a mention of it, but I think a few people do that without calling it that.
Yeah, I mean, especially given for B2B, right? This is quite a important element and aspect. Back in the day, in 2017 and 18, we had to essentially do this when we were trying to get pilots through events. So it was quite fun. But something that you've said about security and phones, I'm just going to go on a slight segue. Is that okay, Youssef?
Yeah, of course.
So someone in the community in the last week actually shared this with me. It's quite interesting. So one thing that's been happening in London, or at least it's happened at least once, is that people have been driving up to people pretending to be Ubers. They get in, and then there's stuff in the car which puts you to sleep, and then they unlock your phone through Face ID, and then they have access to everything. So everyone, please check your license plates before you get into the car, amongst other things.
Yeah, I have a few tips for that because I travel a lot for hackathons, but also in general, and it's always in the decentralized finance space, and so it's a target specifically in France. There have been kidnappings and all of that, and so I have a few. This could be the subject of not necessarily a masterclass, but just like a few tips that are very, very useful. OPSEC, operational security. The main one when you travel is that it might cost a bit of money, but it's really worth. It's like an insurance. It would be to buy a burner phone, but a real one, like not a flip phone, like a real smartphone, like an Android that's very cheap, and you put like some money on it, an amount that you're willing to lose, and you use it as like your phone when you're outside, or at least if you get mugged, if you enter in the wrong Uber, it's like kind of like the basics. And using something like backup buddy, if you do actually lose your actual phone, it's fine. You can recover your money before a hacker does it. It's important. And just about demo-driven development, to come back to it very quickly, I talked about it in the context of hackathons, but it's also what I do in actual companies for B2B, like you said. For example, this project is something that is primarily sold to wallets, to crypto wallets, because they have the biggest need for what if their users lose their phone? They can't do anything about it. It's not like a bank. And so they have a lot of support problem of people telling them, yeah, I lost my phone. How do I do? And they don't have an answer for it. So we primarily sell to them. And the main way we did demos, especially when we didn't have any tractions, after the hackathon, was to just build demos for them, like making, especially with AI, taking their front end, copying it, and then adding our functionality and just showing them and telling them, hey, it's already built. Actually, it's not fully built, of course, but the interface is built, right? It looks like their app, so they're impressed. And when they go to settings and they click on backup buddy, it's the real thing. And so yeah, that's a good way to do sales, I think. Demo different, like you build demos for people you want to sell to.
I'm just going to keep rolling with questions till someone feels they should ask. And I do encourage people to ask. There's no stupid question, in my opinion, with these with masterclasses. So when it comes to hackathons, I also have always wondered, how much more. Oh, we have a question from Miranda. Miranda, you go for it.
Hi, yeah, right, thank you. So this is Miranda, and I am a graduate student at Cambridge. Me and my teammates, we joined the Oxbridge-AIx challenge later last year, and then we are at the stage of turning that idea into something real. So I've got two questions here. The first one is, so after joining a couple of hackathons, how to decide which idea you actually want to develop further and make it into a real company? And the second one is, like Uday just mentioned, sometimes they will another hackathon. It can sometimes be a strategy, but if different hackathons are having different themes, how can you decide? Do you want to amend your original idea just for the sake of fitting the theme for that hackathon?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. For the first ones, how to decide on your ideas and then how to decide to continue on it or not. I think the one is hard, like the first part is harder than the second one. The first part is, for me, how to decide is, I try to not really do it. I have levels of excitement at the moment. And so I go for like whatever is the first one. I tend to think that it's always better to just, like, if you have multiple choices, instead of being afraid of making the wrong one, it's almost always better to just make a choice, even a random one, and then course correct over time. Like, it's fine. You have hackathons. They always happen. You can do an idea and then do another one. And so I don't spend that much time thinking about it. It's whatever my excitement is when the hackathon is starting. I had, for example, like in the last one I went to in Argentina, I had a specific idea, and I met a friend that told me his idea, and he wanted to form a team. And I thought it was way cooler at the moment, so I dropped all the other ones. Like, I really thought it was super cool. And it's in the process of also becoming a company, so it's actually pretty cool. But and it's not a backup buddy or the passport stuff. It's like a latest thing. And so for me, it's about like the level of excitement that I have in an idea, and also what I'm good at. It's when you're making a product that you're trying to sell to people, it's you kind of need to have like an advantage somewhere. You can build that advantage over time, but you need to have an advantage, like an unfair advantage somewhere. And the first thing to look at where you could have an unfair advantage is whatever you're passionate about, whatever you want to do. Everyone has that, and over time it becomes easier and easier for me to get ideas, because over time I get more unfair advantages by doing things. I get more knowledge about certain things. I get a more bigger network of people around me that I can call to create something, and develop faster than if someone else wanted to do it. And so if you like, but at the beginning, at like case 0, it's the level of excitement is what you want to do. Just like having fun, like the thing you would enjoy doing, basically. There is another criteria for like choosing an idea, which is more about what I want to see exist. After the hackathon, I'm going to have like a prototype of something. Is it something I can actually use myself? And if it's yes, then it has a pretty good chance of being on my list of stuff I want to build at the hackathon. The passport stuff is something we wanted to have. We wanted to be able to prove various things about like ourselves for a different product from before. And for the recovering keys, it's an actual problem I have. I want like, I'm using Proton Mail, for example, for my company. Proton Mail gives you private keys when you go in the settings. It's something you should really download, because if you ever lose your phone, or if you ever lose your access to your account, you'll be able to get access to your emails back. And so I didn't like the solutions that exist for that, for various reasons. We can talk about them like if someone has questions, or another day. And so I wanted to build it myself, and it's something I wanted to have for myself. So I would say something that excites you and something you actually want to see, in the world, either for you or for people around you. And then for your second question, it cuts a little bit. I'm not sure I fully got what you said, but I think it was about if you're working on something, you're going to a hackathon, should you try to change your idea for fitting the hackathon? I mean, you should go to like when you're picking your hackathon, I think you should go with the flow of the hackathon to increase your chances of winning. If you're using it to just build a feature on something you already have, that's great also. I don't think you should compromise your product too much. There is a level of compromisation that is okay, because the reward for it is higher than, changing your ID. And so it's kind of up to you. I don't have like guidelines on how you would do that. I think it's better to just go with the sort of the vibe of the hackathon, and either go with, like, if you have an idea that excites you, you can try to integrate with the technologies that the hackathon is promoting. But yeah, don't compromise too much on it, because otherwise you don't get as much of the rewards that I was talking about in this presentation. It's Yeah, I don't think you get as much of the rewards. But ultimately, it's not super important either. It's like you could also, it could also help you find a different angle to your current product, and so it's all fine. Like, if you see it as prototyping, uh, it doesn't matter that much. Like, I only see it as prototyping. If it doesn't yield anything, at least it gave me data for my product. So don't overthinking, basically. Yeah, there's a
Yusuf, I just
question.
wanted to add something before we allow Jian to ask a question. Jian, is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, cool. So just along those lines, I just wanted to build on what you said. Other reasons to go to hackathons. Some of the stuff you talked about is, so while you were away, I mentioned sometimes you can build a feature. It doesn't have to be the core thing you're building. Sometimes the feature could be very relevant, could be quite a fun way to test if a feature would be important or useful or integrated, even if it's not part of what you're doing in the next, let's say, 6 months, even 18 months. But I think a founder needs a lot of mental discipline and needs to know how to manage themselves in a very effective way. And I think you've got that, Youssef, as a founder, from what I've understood. And like, we've now hung out for like 4, 5, 6 times. And so what could be quite dangerous when you go to a hackathon is like, so some people who are very excited and they want to do something, and they get a bit of traction idea because people think like, oh, this is a great idea, and then they end up wanting to divert away from the focus. But along those lines, what is also, like, as founders, we live a very lonely life, even with, being part of all these different communities. We live a very lonely life. And so this is one of the reasons I enjoy going to hackathons. Admittedly, I haven't really built anything in a hackathon in a while, but you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go full on like everyone else, but you could just use it as a chance to recharge socially. There's a lot of people who also like share ideas, come together. You also learn a lot from different people. You learn new ideas. It's like a cauldron of creativity. And so, I just wanted to build on what you said, Youssef, with that.
I think it's super important, before just answering the other question, because it might seem counterintuitive, but the reason why I love going to hackathon, part of why, is because, if we come back to the analogy of exploration versus exploitation, I'm really much more on the exploration side. And because of that, it's difficult to commit to one project. But when you're a founder, you need to lock in. You can't be this way. You actually have to say no to other things. You have friends that are also founders, and they're like, I have this new idea. Let's do it. It's very difficult to say no for me. And so hackathons are kind of the only way where I'm allowing, like, it's the creative outlet, it's like the exploration outlet. I'm allowing myself to do whatever, be maybe a feature for the company, maybe something outside. Usually it's something outside because I have so much stuff I want to try. But then this gives me the sort of like, it's a release valve, and then I'm happy after the hackathon, whether it's becoming something else or not. And I come back to my work, and I'm happy to, like, I can go back, and then it builds up again. The pressure builds up again, and there's a hackathon 3 months later. I can release the pressure again and do that. So it keeps me more focused to go to hackathons to explore.
Yeah, and on that, one more thing. Sometimes it's cheaper to test new technologies by going to companies who are sponsoring hackathons, who are releasing, the APIs or otherwise. And so that's another good reason to go. Then you also get to meet people from that company, start a relationship. So for a future exit, that could be the start, because we were in a position where we won this pilot, and it was kind of done in like a 2-day kind of like presentation kind of situation. But the company was looking at us, the board was very happy with us, and if they wanted the like all 25 5,000 employees to eventually be using us. And I think they would have tried to either acquire us or something in the future. But that was a long time ago. And then the last thing before we give Julian the mic is one danger of potential hackathons is like, and you should just be very aware, right? As I said, managing ourselves is really important. But one danger of a hackathon is you meet other people who have similar ideas. So use that as an opportunity to validate, to feel good, to bounce ideas. Don't get scared if that happens, because we all think of our ideas as a little precious. So yeah, with that, Julian, please take it away.
So before or like when the hackathon starts, how do you idea generate? I might have missed it, but how?
Sure, I'm just gonna ask Julian for you to introduce yourself, please.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm a year 1 engineer in Oxford, and yeah, I'm a year one engineer in Oxford. Yeah. And
Thanks.
Yeah. For ideation, I mean, it's for me the recipe is kind of it's been refined over time. But now what happens when I go to hackathon is that I already have a bunch of ideas, and it depends on my level of excitement at the moment, or whoever I'm finding there that I've already worked with that is vibing with the idea, and wants to build it with me, and so the question is, okay, how do you generate all of those ideas? And for that, I think it has to stem from you. It's something that starts from you. It's where do you have an advantage? The advantage could be something like what do you like, right? Because you're gonna have less of a hard time working on it if it's something you enjoy. And so it could be what do you like? Another angle could be what do you want to use personally, like something you want to have in your life. It's fine if it doesn't like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's not something that will target millions of people. You start at like step 0. You start at step 1 with a niche, and the first niche is you. It could be the people around you also, and it's after that you validate those markets that you can think of how to make it for a lot more people. And so I see people being like being sort of like paralyzed by not finding ideas that could be for millions of people, but not realizing that a lot of these ideas, a lot of these products today started with like niche, started for like just solving one problem for one person, then five people, 10, etc. And so yeah, just where do you have an advantage, an unfair advantage, an edge somewhere, and build on that for your ideas. Yeah, you have another question?
I just have a follow-up.
Yeah.
Then in the case of your passport example, where did that stem from?
Yeah. So with with my friend, where we started, the person where we did this project together initially was because we were already co-founders in something unrelated, and we were building a smart account wallet. It was super interesting. It was kind of like early tech, and we thought we had an edge, a technological edge, but we didn't realize that our competitors had better edges elsewhere that was more important. And so we started to look like for pivots and things like that. And at the same time, we were looking at like zero knowledge cryptography. And I personally wanted to use zero knowledge cryptography to fix a feature of that previous project. And the feature was, okay, how do we recover that smart account wallet? And it was like a tiny feature because it was something that was supposed to be marketed to non-technical people. It's your parents, people that are not that much into technology, and so people where it would be very easy for them to lose their phone or lose their keys or whatever, like lose their private keys, etc. And so we started to look at like, okay, zero knowledge proofs for that, and then we thought it would be cool if you could, for example, prove that you were from a particular country. Because we could use that plus proving other things to recover the account, just ideating. And so we started looking at that. How can you prove that you are from a certain country? And there was a project called ZK email, zero knowledge email, that could be used for that. So it's basically something that lets you prove that you received an email. from a particular email address, and that email contains particular words. And so we started looking at all of our emails, looking for governmental emails. So in France, it's like .gouv.fr, or actually just .gouv. And we started looking at like all those emails, hoping to find one where they say, hello, your full name, and something like that, so that we could maybe use it as a like soft proxy of you being part of that country. And so we go through all of the emails. We don't actually find it. Turns out the French government doesn't send email where they say your full name. They say maybe your first name, maybe your last name, but they don't say everything. And even if they do, there are like collisions and stuff like that. So then we realized that like the passports have chips in them, and the chips probably have governmental signatures, and the thing that's signed is probably contains your name. So we start looking at that, and exactly at that moment, like the day after, there is the ETHGlobal Paris. So we go there, and that was the idea. So really, it's about like to come back to the initial piece of advice. It comes back to where do you have an advantage. We were trying to solve a problem for a product that we were working on initially. When we started working on that product, we had no idea we were gonna go into zero knowledge proofs. That's why I'm saying don't overthink it. Just do something that you want to do. Like just build something, and then you will end up course correcting. You will end up pivoting, and as you do that, as you explore, you get more and more knowledge, just like reinforcement learning agents. You get more and more knowledge, and you can use that knowledge to get new ideas and all of that. So for proof of passport, it was that path. So it's something that no one else could have had come up with at that moment. Maybe later for through other circumstances, but at this moment particularly, no one else, in that hackathon and maybe in the world could have come up with this particular project, because it was the result of the work we did before, and articles we read from different people, and the experiences that we had in other hackathons where we did other things. So yeah, it's something that no one else could have done at that moment, and so it just, that's why I'm saying it stems from you. Just trust yourself, start stuff, and you will end up going course correcting in the right way as you learn.
Cool. Any more questions?
Yeah,
Okay. We got another question. And go for it. Please don't forget to introduce yourself.
Okay, hello, Youssef. My name
Hi.
is Anchi, and I'm a second-year student studying physics. My question is concerning, you recommend some useful tools, and I noticed that for the building tools, there are many like vibe coding tools.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say? Like in each scenario, how would you choose them? What's their difference from your perspective? And how would you recommend them?
Yeah, my recommendation for that is before a hackathon. You could do it right now. If you have the interest, like you block 2 hours, you test all of them, you do one project. Even a to-do app, like just to figure out like how it works, and it will come down to like preference, I think. I did not use vibe coding tools for the longest time. I tried with like I was like a super early user of GitHub Copilot, but then after like 7-8 months, I dropped it because it just didn't work with the way I was working. I was writing software, and so for the longest time, like since really 5 months ago, I was still on my NeoVim, like writing code myself. Sometimes asking the AI, but always, on the official interface, like not using coding tools. And then anti-gravity shipped, and I wanted to use it because I found myself using Gemini more and more for coding before Claude Opus 4.5. And the way they built it, and it's sort of similar to Cursor, and the way they built it is worked better with how I was working. And so I'm still using NeoVim for some stuff, but I slowly went over anti-gravity. But I think all of them are good. You should just, it comes down to preference. Just try them, because try them before, because you don't want to be blocked during the hackathon. You don't want to be blocked on like, by your tooling, right? You want to be blocked by building the demo. You want to only focus on that. So yeah, don't be blocked by the tooling. Use it before. But yeah, Cursor, I can't give too much of an opinion on it because I didn't use it for long. Anti-gravity sort of works well, but it's only because it's giving me a lot of agency. I'm still reading all the code. And so if it's purely like, if you have a purely agentic workflow, might not be the thing you want. Or it might be because you can give all the agency to the AI, but you just test it. I think the Versal V0 and REPL8 are also pretty cool. They're like full vibe coding, like they're not expecting you to see the code, whereas with Cursor and Anti-Gravity, you actually look at the code. I think they're a bit dangerous, like in general, because you kind of still need to look at the code from time to time. Might not be the case in a few months, who knows, but you still need to look at the code. However, for just a hackathon with a demo, they could be very good, like V0 and REPL8, because they, especially if you're not you're not like a software engineer, because you can get something without spending too much time doing boilerplate and all of that. But if you use those tools like these V0 and REPL8, it makes the previous part, the before part and the scoping part, much more important. Like, you need to be precise with the AI. You don't want to drift. It's also pretty easy when you start vibe coding to like start to drift in like other features. Go back to the North Star, go back to the demo. Unless the new feature you're drifting towards is, you realize that it could be incredible for the demo. But if not, you can go back to the demo. You really use them as like tools that you should control them 100%. But no, other than that, just the advice is use them before so that you're not blocked. And if you use one where the AI has full agency, you should like REPL8 on Versal. You should just make sure that you scope very well what you want to do, and you're focusing on your demo.
Youssef, can I add a couple of things?
Yeah.
So not one thing that's also quite interesting is that you can figure out for each platform or each model really which languages to code to optimize. And that reduces sometimes some of the problems and issues that it creates. And then if you really want to do something a lot, two tricks are like first creating a boilerplate, which kind of creates a framework, and then it doesn't have to. That boilerplate's just there in the code. This particularly works really well with Claude Code. And then after having a boilerplate, you can also always use a second model or like service to try and do bug testing and checking. But again, for a hackathon, this is perhaps really overkill.
Yeah. But yeah, the bit about like boilerplating is very true. It really helps especially if you use like Cursor or Anti-Gravity, like something where you still have like some agency over the code. If you start from a boilerplate that was already made before, the AI is going to be much more accurate, and it might save you like an hour or two during the hackathon.
Any more questions?
If I will just add like, and I can, if someone has a question after, I will answer it. I will just add like about those hackathons here. So I believe that this one, the HCL Health AI hack, is something done by at Harvard, and it's the Harvard like Health Society or something, and I believe I know Cambridge for sure, maybe also for Oxford, we need to double check, but I think you can apply to this through a hub, like a community that already exists, and there is a Cambridge hub, so you can go with people from Cambridge to work on like some health tech in AI. That would be cool. And also there is a typo here, but a lot of hackathons actually have hacker houses, or sponsors sometimes have hacker houses, and it's very fun. Usually you don't pay for the staying there, and you are with other hackers, and it's pretty cool. So check them, because sometimes it's not very clear that it exists, but a lot of time it does. ETHGlobal now has hacker houses.
So on that, I actually want to use this as an opportunity. First of all, with both Cambridge Entrepreneur Society and Oxford Artificial Intelligence Society often get approached if they want to have contingents go to not just hackathons, but other things. So, just do reach out to both the parties. I'm still involved with Ox.AI and, love Cube with a passion. And then beyond that, have to mention this because Youssef, you didn't mention it, but our community partner is HomeDAO, which is a kind of like a hacker founder house. They run ETH Oxford, which is starting in 2 weeks. So if anyone hasn't signed up, do check it out. They put you up as well. And anyone wants to volunteer for that, let me know. I've been asked to nominate people to volunteer, where you would be at least put up, given fed and everything. Yes, Shijan.
Sorry, could you just repeat again the name of the thing that HomeDAO is arranging?
ETH Oxford. It happens every year.
Oh, the ETH thing. I see.
Yeah. It's going to be at the Mass Department, Mass Institute.
No problem.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to volunteer for this, please let me know. I've been asked to nominate people from the community. And you don't have to be Oxford or Cambridge. Cool. With that, everyone, please join me in thanking Youssef for a fantastic masterclass. Youssef, this is awesome. I learned a lot. It was really fun. Your passion really comes out. Hopefully we'll get to involve you in organizing or doing something with hackathons soon. Our hackathons in the community are small. They're called MVP weekends. We have one coming up in mid-February and then again mid-March. And hopefully we'll convince Youssef to come and be a judge.
Right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for guys listening. Oh, that's a dog barking. Thank you, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a lot of fun in hackathons. 2026, as you can see, is going to be very fun. A lot of stuff. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
Pleasure. Thank you, Youssef. Enjoy, and everyone have a super week. And hopefully all of you are getting a chance to go see YC. If you're in Cambridge, it's already happened. It's happening right now. And then otherwise, ciao.
Okay.